The subject of today's teaching is morality, and particularly about understanding the difference between a system of morality that is based on simply following a set of laws or a set of rules, and a system of morality that is based on a principle of right and wrong and understanding of right and wrong. So morality is essentially a certain definition of right and wrong, and there is not just one definition of right and wrong that everybody, all human beings, agree on and have agreed on all the time. It depends on what society you live in, it depends on what religion you follow, but we all follow some kind of morality, whether we're conscious of it or not. If you've ever felt guilty in your life, then this is where you can see what is your morality. So whatever you feel guilty for, whatever you feel regret for having done or ashamed of having done, this is what your sense of what is wrong. Wherever you have no sense of shame and are perfectly comfortable with your own actions, this is your sense of what is right. So there are some different philosophical arguments about this. Some people say that there is no absolute right and wrong that is the same for everybody. As a Buddhist, we would disagree with this. We believe that there is right and there is wrong. This is one of the basic principles of right view. There is right, there is wrong. But it doesn't mean we necessarily know perfectly what is right and what is wrong. We do know the basic criteria for deciding between what is right and what is wrong. So there are two ways of defining it. One is whatever hurts or harms others or yourself or both is wrong. Whatever does not hurt or harm others or yourself or both, that is right. So it goes for thoughts, speech, and actions. Another way of defining it would be to say whatever is done, whether in thought, word, or action, that is driven by kilesa, bad qualities, so selfishness, greed, anger, laziness, carelessness, and so on. This is always wrong. And whatever is done by good qualities, generosity, compassion, patience, wisdom, it is always right. But even then, we can understand this in theory, but when it comes to really seeing it in practice, in the present moment, in our own thoughts, words, and actions, it's not as simple as it might sound. The quality that can differentiate between right and wrong is wisdom. And however developed or well developed your sense of morality is, right and wrong, this is the measure of your wisdom. So growing in wisdom, a big part of growing in wisdom is developing the right understanding of right and wrong. And then obviously acting on it, doing right rather than doing wrong. So this leads me to the next point, which is to explain a bit about the difference between a moral code, just a set of laws, and morality, which is based on understanding the principle of right and wrong. So most of the time, we don't see morality in terms of wisdom. We just base our sense of morality on some set of laws. Whether that is the 10 Commandments, whether that is the laws of our country, the laws of the government, whether that's some unspoken laws that we have in society that aren't written down, whether it's some philosophy that we follow, like being a vegetarian, so our sense of it's wrong to eat meat, it's right to eat vegetables. Or again, in Buddhism, we have a set of rules too. It's called the 5 precepts. And so I'll just name them. So it's no killing of any living being, no stealing, no lying, no sexual misconduct, no alcohol or drug. So what's the difference between the 5 precepts and all those other set of laws that I just named? The main difference is that most of the set of laws that we follow as our morality are basically just an absolute set of laws that we follow them because it's the law, that's the rule. So we don't necessarily need to understand why, just that's the rule, I follow it, that means I'm doing good. Now, one major problem with this is that since we are following the rules simply out of a kind of blind faith, okay, these are the rules, that's my morality, I have to follow the rules, therefore I'm good, it means that we're not obliged to be consistent. So if we're following it because the government said so, for example, the government can change the law. Before it was against the law to smoke marijuana, now it's legal. So the law changed. Before it was wrong, now it's right. No problem. So finally, where is the consistency? Where is the principle of right and wrong in these laws? We don't know. We follow them just because they're the law. And another thing we can see in systems of morality that are based only on laws is that they are incapable of showing us the source of right and wrong, the true source of right and wrong. So for instance, across many cultures and throughout history, it's often been the case that for stealing, the punishment is to have one's hand cut off. So the punishment is always the same for whoever steals in whatever circumstance, in whatever situation, for whatever reason, implying that regardless of whether it's a rich man who is simply greedy and wants to steal for the fun of it or to cheat because he enjoys cheating, or whether it's somebody whose family is so poor that they have nothing to eat and he wants to save them from getting sick or dying, so he steals some food to bring to them. Both of these are, according to this law, equally wrong. They both deserve the same punishment. But anyone with a bit of intelligence or a bit of humanity can see that these are not equally wrong. It's not the same stealing, it's not the same action. One is motivated by pure greed, one is motivated by caring for his family. The law doesn't look at the motivation, it doesn't look at what is in the mind of the person when they do an action that is considered wrong. It is the hand that steals, therefore the hand should be cut off. But what is stealing is not the hand. It is the mind and what is in the mind of the person that steals. So this brings us to the 5 precepts. Non-stealing is also one of the 5 precepts. And the difference between the 5 precepts and most other codes of morality is that for each of the 5 precepts, anybody who is understood well or follows them properly will be able to explain in great detail why it is wrong, why it is a cause of harm and suffering to break each of these 5 precepts. So just to take an example, in the case of stealing, 1. If you steal, you are in almost all cases motivated purely by greed, selfishness, stinginess, or laziness. 2. You cause harm to others. You're taking something from somebody else that belongs to him without his permission. Would you like if somebody were to do the same to you? No. So you harm others. 3. You harm yourself. You create hatred and enmity between yourself and the person from whom you steal. And you put yourself at risk of being arrested, going to jail, having penalties, having a criminal record. You create conditions in which you will probably need to lie. Your mind will be more disturbed, etc., etc. I could go on. Just for one of the 5 precepts. So if somebody has understood all of this and undertakes the precept of non-stealing based on this understanding, then no matter who tells him that finally it's not against the law to steal anymore, he will still not want to take from others what they have earned or what they have gained. He will still not want to have this greed and selfishness in himself to make him go and do those things. He follows the precepts based on an understanding of the principle of right and wrong. So, yeah, the key difference is that it's not the law that defines what is right and wrong, but it's rather the law that is based on the principle of what is right and wrong. So if you absolutely, completely understand and have complete wisdom to divide what is right and wrong, then you don't need any laws, because you will always do what is right. And if you know how to take care of your mind and remove whatever is wrong from there first, and only keep good qualities on the side of wisdom and selflessness, then whatever you think, whatever you speak, and whatever you do will naturally be good.